Today, all three readings speak about giving everything you have. The poor widow with her son, the reference to Jesus giving his life on the cross, giving everything, and finally the woman in the gospel, the poor widow who gave the 2 cents, but it was all of her livelihood. I'd like to make a comparison in my life that it has one aspect in common. I love to go to Puerto Vallarta. It's my paradise on earth. And I was down there once. I'm lying on the beach. I'm sure I had a margarita in my hand, whatever. And there's always people coming along selling things and also singing or reciting poetry or something to make some money just for their own livelihood. So there I am sipping away. I didn't have my wallet on me. I used a credit card. And then I had a little change. I mean, not even centavos, but centavitos, or these little parts of a penny, so anyway, I have this in my pocket, and it was bugging me walking with it, and this guy gets up and sings and plays these drums and everything. He's very good, actually. When he finished, he put the hat out there. So here I thought a chance to get rid of this change, and I knew it was nothing, but it was all that I had. It's all I had. So I put it in the hat, and he went up to get it, and he looked at it, and he said something. I don't know what it was, but it sounded pretty awful, and my Spanish is decent. And then he threw the coins and walked away. Well, I know that was my first reaction. But I said, no. I mean, I didn't mean to insult him, but I apparently had, because it's like I gave him a couple of pennies. That wasn't my intention. It really wasn't. So I didn't feel really bad. I think in another circumstance I would have been all offended and everything. But I just said, oh my God, that's wasn't my intention. That's the only connection I have with the readings. I gave all that I had. But these readings are really pretty profound. The first reading, there's this woman, old woman, a widow. She's got a kid, and they are so poor, they're destitute. This is their thinking. We have enough food for today. I'm going to go get some sticks, make a fire, make the bread. We're going to eat it, and then we die because we have nothing to live on. So there she is, and in comes the prophet, a holy man. She recognizes him right away as a holy man. And in true Jewish hospitality, she opens her home and says, come on in. And he said, well, I'd like something to eat. And she just tells him the facts. She's not being dramatic or anything. She just says, well, interesting. I was just about to go gather the sticks to do this. So he says, well, you make that for me, and then I guarantee you God's going to take care of you, and he will give you food for at least another year. So she does it. She prepares the food, gives it to the prophet, and lo and behold, that's what happens. Now, this reading is a perfect reading for churches who want to make people feel guilty, and also who want to say, give us your last penny. I don't know if you remember Reverend Gene Scott. He used to serve out of here on Broadway at this old theater. I used to like to watch him because he was something else. But he'd get up there and he'd even take his wallet out sometimes. And he'd open up and pull out the money and say, give me your dinero. I remember that line. And I also remember one saying, you have a house note to pay? Give it to me because God will bless you 10 times more. I thought, oh my God, that's awful. Give me your house note. But there are some who preach that because they claim that if you're generous, God will be generous to you. Look at what he did for this widow. And it is a story about God's incredible, generous, loving spirit. It's not a story to be applied, I don't think, literally, give the church or any religious body all your money and then you'll get more. It's a story of generous giving and generous receiving too. And then we have that second reading in which the comparison between Jesus the priest and the high priest of the temple, but says, but they're similar but very different, because the high priests go in there every year to offer the sacrifice for sin. Jesus offered the sacrifice once, his life, and he gave every drop of his blood. He poured himself out once forever. It was a total giving. And then we have a similar story again, another widow in the temple. And in comes the scribes, and they're all in their big long robes, looking all important, sitting in the front row, so everyone will greet them and tell them how important they are. They loved it. But Jesus also mentions, and they're the very ones who would take the homes from the widows who couldn't make their payments. Too bad. Then they would say a prayer over it and seem to justify it all away. And he said, whoa, their punishment is going to be extreme. And in the context of that, and Jesus was such a teacher and such a master, he's standing there commenting on this, and in walks this little widow, and she drops in 2 pennies and goes her way. And Jesus notices it and says, you see that widow? She gave more than everybody here, and they were dropping in, the gospel even goes out of its way to say, dropping in large sums of money, large sums of money. And he says, see that little widow there? She gave more than all of them. Because they gave from their surplus, she gave from her want. Everything she had to live on, she gave. And Jesus noticed this. Now again, this is not to be applied in any kind of literal way. You should give everything you have. Nobody does that. Anybody who does that, I'm going to say, you're nuts. You're nuts, because now you're going to expect us to take care of you. No, take care of yourself. And by the way, if you're struggling and you can't afford the rent this month, don't you dare put a penny in the collection. For God's sake, you've got to take care of your needs. You've got to. But generous giving and generous receiving is something that Jesus noticed. And why would he notice it? Why would he notice it? Well, I always go to the trusty internet and go to my browser, and I ask it a question or two, and I start getting all these results. Now, the first result was like 359 responses. I got bored after about 20. When it says load more, and then it said load more, and I said, I don't think so, But here they were. It's all about giving. Sayings that we use all the time. And it's not just about money, it's just about the inner spirit of giving. Don't we use these phrases? Give it your all. Not give it your some or give a portion. Give it your all. We love to say, give till it hurts. We get the idea giving till it hurts means we're giving from our very self, not just our excess. Give everything you've got. That's what we tell students. Come on. That's what we tell athletes. Give everything you got. Go on. Give it all. A very high form of giving. Give without asking anything in return. Go the extra mile. Go the extra mile. These are the things we say to encourage people to be givers, encourage ourselves. And then we step back and look at the bigger picture. There's even more to be said about giving. It says, it is the heart that does the giving, the fingers only let go. I like that one. It's the heart. That's where the giving happens. The fingers just let go of it, but it starts here. It's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. And I like this too. Presents are made for the pleasure of the one who gives them, not the merits of the one who receives them. And isn't that so? When you give something, you wrap it up all beautiful, and you might even say to the person, well, it's not much, it's all I could do, but we just take such pleasure and pride in giving a gift. The giving is so wonderful. Have you ever seen little tiny kids who make a little card for their mommy or daddy on Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, a birthday? Little kids, don't listen to me now. They might even spell it wrong. But they put all this little, art into their card, and they give so proud to give this to mommy or daddy. Because giving, there's something amazing about the gift of giving. You can give without loving, but you can't love without giving. Jesus knew this. Jesus, the great teacher, was a great observer of life, but he also knew what it takes deep within the heart and deep within the spirit to have a meaningful life. The truth is, we give and receive every day, all day long. You'll leave church today and you will give and receive all day long. You're giving right now of your prayer and your praise and your reflections, but you're receiving grace upon grace and the Word of God and the Eucharist and the prayer and faith of the people around you. All day long we will give and receive. We may do it selfishly, we may do it joyfully. We may receive and think we're not worthy of it. We may receive and just be filled with gratitude. But we do it all day long. And the Word of God stops to notice particular people in their giving. And the one thing that the Word of God notices today, that in all of these people, they give everything they have. And it's an extraordinary call for us that Jesus is lifting up. To be givers, we're already that, but to be givers who would dare to go way beyond and give it all. Not looking for anything, not questioning, not holding back, just giving it all. I would propose to you that it would be a worthwhile thing this week, based on the reading for this Sunday and this week, to ask ourselves how we give, how much we want to give. What do we want to give? Who do we want to give to? And how do we want to receive in our life this week? And if we don't focus on it the whole week, maybe just today to pay attention to how we give and how we receive, what we give and what we receive, and see if in that alone, we can find blessing.